I noticed a lot of people are very numbed out, and they numb themselves out more, right? With alcohol or nicotine or whatever it is to just kind of get through the day. And the message that I have is so simple. It's just start to notice your water, start to pay attention what works for you and what doesn't. We can go into what to look for, but just that beginning phase of observing and noticing is going to be a huge upgrade in your life.
Can't be contained. That's what I'm talking about. Tracy Duhs, welcome to the Can't Be Contained podcast. What's up, girl?
Well, first of all, I am so excited that we get to wrap today because you and I have a lot of like comic, like belly roll laughing time together, and I hope that the audience gets to enjoy some of that because that's what makes life fun, right?
Dude, if you're not laughing, you're crying, so you might as well be laughing, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
That's exactly how I feel. That's how I feel.
I'm on board with you.
I was like laughing at how you and I have just been like circling each other's life for like years now, and I feel like this is what I've noticed. Like, I go to parties early and leave early, and you go to parties late and leave late. So I feel like we're only at parties for like 5 minutes together, and then I don't get to see you.
How did you discover this about me so fast?
Dude, because like that happened 3 times. Like 3 times in the last 6 months. I was like, there's Tracy. And I'm like, oh, I'm leaving and she's just coming. Yeah, it's like a thing, you know? I'm like arrive early and then like peace out, go to bed by 8:30. You're like, I'm gonna get there at 8:30 and I'm probably gonna leave at 11:30, you know?
No, I'm the one that's gonna arrive late and leave early too.
Oh.
Like I really I'm on a late night party.
You're like, you guys get me for 10 minutes. Okay. I'm going to show up for 10 minutes and y'all are going to deal with it, okay?
Here's my formula. It's very simple. You go give like full energy, pour into everyone, and then when you feel like, you know, your cup's not like fully full anymore, you're just like, okay, time to dip. Like, I'm only here to give my best.
I love this for you. I love it. I'm with you, girl. I'm with you. It makes so much sense. Potency and presence over, like, Eric and I have a conversation around this, like, when we talk about like the love languages, it's like quality of time or quality time is one, but does that mean quantity? Because I'm with you. Like, my mom, like one of her top love languages is quality time, but like it's like never enough time. I'm like, Mom, I can't hang out with you every single day of every single month. I'm like, what about like quality, but like shorter quantity?
My daughter's the same way. She's like, Mama, come just watch a movie with me, sit on the couch with me. And I'm like, after I make you some dinner and clean up and make everything perfect for you, then we can hang out. And, you know, I learned later on that it's like, you know, in the Bible, how there was the Martha and the Mary, like, yeah, Martha was the one was she the one that was like cleaning? Was it the Martha or the Mary? I don't remember. But
Martha was the one that was like cleaning and doing all the domestic stuff, I believe.
Yeah, doing all the things like this needs to get done.
Yeah.
It needs to get done, and it does need to get done. But then I think it was the Mary who was just sitting at Jesus' feet and just like, I'm here, I'm fully present. And yeah, he was taking note of that and paying attention to how much more important it is to just be present in the moment, as opposed to doing all the things and making sure everything's perfect. So yeah, I feel like there's a lot to learn from that, and I have a lot of growing to do.
I feel you.
Because I just want to make sure everything's really nice for people. And
so good.
Yeah, so I'm with you on that. The quality time, like maybe that's why we get along. We're like, that's not our love language, so
yeah.
What's your love language?
My love language is, it's so funny when people ask me what my love language is, I have to stop and really think about it because this one time when someone asked me what my love language was, I said in front of a group of like 30 people, random acts of physical touch. So every single time people ask me that, I have to be like, don't say that again, Sam. Don't say. So my love language, I just like combined random acts of kindness and physical touch. And then it turned out to be something that I actually would fucking hate. So my love language is physical touch and acts of service.
Mm.
How about you?
Touch and acts of service. Okay, so, well, wait, let me ask you this. So, like, if there was somebody that you didn't know, so you're at Starbucks or something, and there's someone behind you. If they came up and like put their hand gently behind your back, like,
hey, I would barf in my mouth.
Huh?
Yeah, I would barf in my mouth if that happened.
Barf. Okay.
Yeah.
So it's not just physical touch. It has to be in the right context of somebody that you trust and
totally. Yeah. Like I think about it with Eric, right? If Eric tells me like, you are the most amazing woman in the entire world, I'm like, thank you. But if he like comes up behind me and like gives me a massage and like doesn't say anything, but just loves me with physical touch, I'm like, I feel so loved. But yeah, random people touching me in Starbucks, I don't think so.
You're like, first of all, I don't go to Starbucks.
I was gonna say that. I was like, first of all, that's a boundary.
It has mold in it. Like, we need purity coffee.
Oh my God, hilarious. Dude, I'm so excited to have you on the show. I love finding super nerds who are super nerds in one specific area. And you are just the queen of water. Like water has changed your life. You've taken it on, become a water researcher, and now just geek out all day long researching water. It's so cool.
Well, thank you.
So let's dive in. Okay, so I walked into my house. So I was in the cold plunge this morning naked. Here's the thing. I like try and remove all of the like resistance points in my life. And I'm like, if I'm doing something that is unnecessary, I'm going to stop doing it. And I decided that putting a bathing suit on to go into my cold plunge is one of those things that are just like completely unnecessary. So this morning I just like came home from my walk, jumped naked in the cold plunge, listening to Abraham Hicks, and then Tracy calls. So I'm just like talking to Tracy as I'm naked in the cold plunge. But I walked into my kitchen and I looked at, you're gonna hate this. I looked at my plastic bottle of Culligan and I thought to myself, as soon as I talk to Tracy in this episode, that thing's got to go. I know, because I know she's going to drill me and teach me some things. So why don't we start off with, gosh, there's so many jumping off parts to go on here, but why don't we start off with just the body and how much of the body is actually water itself, and how we're sort of just all a little bit blind to the fact that water is one of the, like, prioritizing the quality of our water is one of the biggest misfires I think our whole culture is missing right now, and kind of share a little bit about what are some little things we can start doing in order to improve the health of our bodies through our water.
Well, that's a great question. I would say personally, just the awareness alone is the biggest first step, because many people don't have that awareness yet. They think water is water as long as it's clean. And then what are the levels of clean, right? Mm-hmm. Some people don't even think about that. They just assume, well, if I get this water out of the refrigerator, it has a filter on it, and so that must be clean. Or right. You go to a restaurant and they put water in your cup and you just assume like this has to be clean. They wouldn't serve water that isn't. Mm. So just starting to notice, just pay attention. When I drink this water, how does it taste? How does it feel in my body? Do I feel energized? Because water is the conduit for almost every single biochemical process in your body. So if you're hydrated, you're going to feel energized naturally. You're going to feel turned on, tuned in. Your central nervous system, everything's going to be just firing really well. And a lot of people are tired, brain fog. They're not feeling well, headaches, the gamut of neurological dysfunctions because they're simply dehydrated.
Sure.
So next time you have some water, just really tune in and pay attention to how you're feeling.
Mm.
Does it feel better?
Yeah.
When I'm drinking water that's not great, a lot of time I'll feel worse. But also I've gotten to a point where my body's, I would like to think, really clean. And I've done a lot of work around making sure what I put in my body is going to fuel me at the highest level.
Mm.
So when the cleaner you get, the more you notice.
Right.
When I was in my phase of being sick and severely dehydrated, I didn't notice a lot of things. I could, try whatever, I don't know, the different therapies that people might notice and say like, oh, I felt a difference. And I was like, I don't feel anything. I felt
Right.
pretty numbed out.
Mm-hmm.
And through our functional medicine clinic, after experiencing thousands of different patients, I noticed a lot of people are very numbed out. And they numb themselves out more, right? With alcohol or nicotine or whatever it is to just kind of get through the day. And the message that I have is so simple. It's just start to notice your water, start to pay attention what works for you and what doesn't. We can go into what to look for, but just that beginning phase of observing and noticing is going to be a huge upgrade in your life.
I began trying to figure out whenever I go surfing and I'm in the salt water, I feel an immediate rise in my vibration. Like I could be feeling stressed or anxious, and I go into the water and I go surfing and I'm like, there's something in this salt water, and I'm curious, does it, like, if we were to drink salt water, would our bodies just like what I'm trying to ask here is like, is there something that is in the salt water that replicates what's in our bodies that to give us that feeling of increased vibration?
Two things. I love that question. And second, I love that you are so in touch that you notice that there's something in the salt water that's making you feel different. Yes, absolutely. We are made of the periodic table. Our body is made of the elements from the periodic table. And because of many things, high stress levels in our life, caustic, toxic environment, the soil being depleted and not using regenerative practices, we're depleted, and many people are depleted in some of the essential elements.
Right.
And if you're even missing one of those trace elements on the periodic table, you're missing the full building blocks for biogenesis. And most of us are. And I think that's why a lot of people feel depression, aggravated, irritated, their nervous system's out of balance. You could see the nicest person. I was having this conversation with my brother yesterday, and he's like the nicest, kindest, like most amazing human ever. And he just never gets mad. And he was telling me about this incident where he kind of got mad at somebody, and he said it's because he's getting off of caffeine. I'm like, oh, that makes sense. Like neurologically, everything's, your chemistry's changing and you're irritated. But a lot of people feel that way when they're missing the certain elements from the periodic table. So there's many aspects of why you're feeling good when you go in the ocean. It's not just the elements. There's so many things that we could go so deep into. But when we're just focusing on the elements, in 1895, Renee Quinton, a French scientist, discovered that our body's plasma is identical to what the ocean's plasma is.
That's what that study was. Okay. Yeah.
It's like, and it should be identical, because when we look at our blood plasma now as humans, we're missing a lot of those elements.
Sure.
But if our blood plasma was perfect, it would mirror the plasma of the ocean. So when you're going into the ocean, your body's resonating with that perfection. Now our oceans are contaminated and there's a lot of extra things in there, but your body, it's like going back into the amniotic fluid. It's like you're in this growth phase, or where your cells are just like, yes, we're bathed in nutrition.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's awesome. I love the ocean, and that's why Renee Quinton took the ocean's elements, and what he did was he realized also, okay, so if you can't just go drink ocean water because it's contaminated.
Right.
So he went to the ocean's floor where the plankton bloom, and there's a vortex there where there's just like new birth, new life, this energy that's just so potent, and captured it and put it in double ampule vials, which hold that bioenergetic information. So he purified it, cold processed it, and so it's sterile. There's no impurities in it. It's just the 78 trace elements plus that bioenergetic information, which is so potent. So I wouldn't suggest anybody going just drinking ocean water.
Yeah.
But
I found out when I fall, when I surf, I'm like, oh, that's disgusting.
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing the way it was intended and made by God, but we've contaminated it, unfortunately, and it's just it's heartbreaking, right? Like we're all doing that with the things that we're doing in our society, and something does need to change.
Absolutely.
But yeah, if you really go back and think about it, your body is resonating with that, and we need those elements. So let's go back to water. A lot of people are drinking filtered water. There's different types of filtration systems. There's carbon filtration, which will filter out some of the elements, not everything, but a lot of contamination. And depending what kind of contamination is in your water supply, it could be sufficient or it might not. So that's why you need to test the contamination in your water supply and then see what carbon actually filters out.
And people can do that. They can buy water tests and you just test the water.
Buy water tests, but you can go there's a link on my website that you can see, in your area. But I don't always trust the government,
Why not, Tracy?
No, I don't know.
For the 4 years we've just had.
Yeah, it would be good to do a water test. If anybody listening to this wants to know some good places to get a water test, have them, they can reach out to me. And the best way is go to my website at tracyduhs.com, and you can just send me a message, and I'm really happy to help. It's something I'm super passionate about. Yeah. But a lot of people either have a carbon filter like on their refrigerator or a Brita or something like that. And then there's other people that have reverse osmosis systems, which reverse osmosis is a very comprehensive set of membranes that really filter out almost all of the contamination in the water. But along with that, it filters out all the minerals and the good stuff. Right. And so it leaves the water in a state where your body, when you drink the water, your body's got to reconfigure it to make it coherent.
Oh, interesting.
And also pull minerals from your own body to make it into that solution that is resonant with your own chemistry. And so it takes some work and some energy from your body, and it's pulling from those mineral reserves as well. So if you can drink water that is naturally mineralized, because minerals in water is any minerals inside of a liquid solution is electrolyte. So we want to have drink water that's an electrolyte so that it can light up our body, energize us.
Yeah.
Be that conduit.
Yeah. What's your take on coffee? Do you drink coffee?
I don't drink coffee, but I drink matcha.
Okay. And what's the science on coffee before water in the morning?
I don't know the science of the coffee before water. I've heard different things. And for me, when I look at science, it's very difficult because you have to look at a study and go, who did this study, first of all?
Yeah.
How many participants were in it? What was their lifestyle like? What were the parameters of this study? Like, what kind of, if it was a coffee study, what kind of, I would want to ask, what kind of water were they drinking before and after? Because a lot of time when they do studies, they just say water, but they don't specify what kind of water. So someone could be drinking an electrolyte water, a mineralized water, a spring water, and another participant could be drinking an RO water. And to me, that study is not a good study because they're not drinking the same kind of water.
Sure. Can you break down for us? Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, no, go ahead.
I was going to say, can you break down for us the spring versus pH water? Like there's so many different kinds of water. What is the water that you recommend for the most bioavailability as far as the minerals are concerned and the most overall hydrating?
Well, our body has different demands and needs different things at different times. And we're all missing different types of elements. We're not all missing the same elements. But for the most part, a lot of the same things. Like magnesium is a huge element that our bodies are very deficient in. But what I like to say is, first of all, I'm not God and I'm not a doctor. You know, I'm not a medical doctor, so I'm not going to be able to tell you like, oh, this is what you need to have or not have. I feel like it would be kind of ubristic to say that I even know, because the more that I learn about water, the more I realize how much I don't know. But I'll tell you what I do know. And that is that it's better to have water that has natural minerals in it. So I would prefer to drink a natural spring water over a reverse osmosis filtered water that hasn't been amended with extra minerals or vortexed. Because water that's in nature is naturally mineralized, naturally vortexed, naturally exposed to the full spectrum light of the sun and the energies of the moon. And that's really powerful and healing for our biological systems. So I would prefer that. Now, there's different types of spring waters. The sources sometimes aren't the cleanest. There is contamination. So I like to mix it up. Don't drink the same spring water all the time. Mix it up. Your body has different needs and really feel into it. Like when you drink the water, take a moment to hold it in your mouth and just see how you feel. Because chances are if you take that moment, you're going to be like, this is the most quenching, satisfying water. And then, or there'll be times where people will be like, I don't like this water. And I say, okay, well, that's something to observe and pay attention to because your body's telling you something. Maybe it's not resonant with you. Maybe it's more contaminated than they say. I don't know, but listen to your body.
Do you feel that I was having this conversation with a friend the other day around just supplements and peptides and all sorts of these like holistic health remedies that a lot of us do. And my curiosity was, if we are taking all those supplements, having all those peptides, but our water quality is terrible, does the absorption of those supplements decrease and become less efficient? And would it be more advantageous for us to dial in our water and get that domino dialed in first before doing all the supplements and peptides and things like that?
Oh, now you're going down a really deep,
let's go there,
important rabbit hole. I'm sure you've heard of the body's terrain, right? Have you heard of the terrain theory?
Yeah.
Where it's basically like we have this terrain, the fluid that our cells are bathed in, our extracellular fluid, what some people will call the ECM, extracellular matrix, extracellular fluid. We have this fluid and this, I guess, our cells, Bruce Lipton would say our cells are only as healthy as the fluid they're bathed in. And he did many tests to really show this to be true. And some people may dispute it, but I believe it. So if you're taking a bunch of supplements and your terrain is toxic, think about if you had a body of water, say you had a pool, and you haven't filtered in forever and it's contaminated, and you start throwing in all these good nutrients into the pool, is it going to make it less contaminated?
Yeah.
No.
No.
If you start throwing in supplements into a contaminated
I see what you're saying. Yeah.
system, it's almost like you're wasting your money. You just have expensive food now, because your system's already contaminated, and now you're just adding all these good things to the contamination. And this is where a lot of people get stuck, because
interesting. Okay.
They're sick and they're just adding more.
I got you.
Sometimes you can add by subtracting.
Mm-hmm.
Our bodies are very intelligent. Our cells are intelligent. They know how to heal. And most of my mentor doctors, who I really respect, will say, you need to just get out of the way what's in the way of the body doing what it needs to do. And sometimes that is toxic contamination, because we live in such a toxic society. Think about this. It's not just the toxins that are around us, from the chemtrails to the food we're eating to the furniture that we sit on to the clothing we're wearing.
Yeah.
It's the thoughts we're thinking, the emotions we have. Those are probably the most toxic. That stagnant anger, that resentment. I mean, you know this best, Sam, with, the breath work and the meditation, how healing that can be for the body. Mm-hmm. And so sometimes it's not adding something, it's subtracting. So we want to really just, maybe I would encourage people, instead of going out and looking for that panacea supplement and trying to buy something new, look at what you're ingesting. Look what you're taking in. Look at the environment you're around. Do you have a lot of Wi-Fi and non-native electromagnetic frequencies around you? Can you turn off your Wi-Fi at night? There's something simple. Just go to sleep. Those calcium ion channels are open, and everything is more susceptible while you're sleeping. So maybe turn that off. Simple things where you're deleting, you're taking away. And then start to see how you feel. And if you start to add some mineralized vortex clean water, your body's gonna start upgrading.
Yeah.
So that's the message. That's why I wrote my book, because in my book I talk about the 9 pillars of health, and these pillars are something that anybody can do, but they're just free in nature. It's not something you have to buy. It's things you can just take advantage of, which are...
Can you read them to us?
First of all, we want to hydrate, right?
Love it.
And then minerals, like we talked about, those are so essential, the building blocks for life. Nutrition, a lot of people are getting a lot of calories, but they're not getting the calories with nutrition in them. They're empty calories because the world that we live in, when you go to the grocery store, it's just there's not even the fruits and vegetables are lacking a lot of nutrients. Sunlight. Why do we eat fruits and vegetables? Because the energy and the full spectrum light from the sun is our superfood. That's our nutrition, and we are not getting it. A lot of us are in this junk food lighting. We're under these fake lights right now, and it's like taking a supplement that's just too much of one thing and not enough everything else that we need. Grounding. How many people take their shoes off? I think more people are starting to do that, but taking your shoes off and connecting to the earth to charge up. We charge our cell phones at night, but do we charge up our own cells with the earth's energy? I know you do that. You surf a lot, and that's huge for grounding. Sleep. You can't hack your way out of sleep. If you're not sleeping, you're not going to be healthy. And then I say creative playtime, because we all need play. If you look at animals, what do we love the most about them? They're
goofy and silly, and they play, and it's the best.
They prioritize it, right? I mean, they are so present. They are in the moment, and they are all about, will you play with me?
Yeah.
And so I don't know, that I created that as a pillar, because I'm without it, life isn't juicy. It's not fun.
I love it.
And then connected community. We can't go this alone, right? We need each other to be healthy. And so those things are part of hydration. That's why the book's called Hydrate, but it's teaching us that hydration isn't just about the water that we drink. It's our lifestyle. If we don't have, I think I missed movement on there, but if we're not moving, then we're not going to be hydrated. The parts of my body will be dehydrated. Parts of my tissues will be unhealthy and dehydrated because I'm not getting that flow to those areas. So start moving, massage your scalp, massage your ears, massage parts of your body, do lymph massage, where you're pulsating. When I'm in the shower, I'm pulsating, moving everything. Parts of my body that don't usually move, like my stomach. That's an area that can get really stagnant and just pulse, move. We want movement. These things are going to help make us healthy. So it's not just the type of water we're drinking, although that is huge. But it's all these things that come into play to make us healthy.
I love how you really named the interplay between emotionality and it's almost like our come from when we're doing health and then the sort of practical things that we're doing in the external world. And I remember about 10 years ago when my health really shifted, when I was overcoming disordered eating and body image issues, and a lot of the things that I did in the name of health were really fueled by anxiety and fear and like just so afraid of not being healthy. And when I did the emotional and inner work in order to reunite with myself and come back into my body and clear away a lot of the disordered eating and body image issues, that's when my health just went through the roof, because the birthplace, or like the energetic come from to all of these health things that I was doing, was coming from a place of just love. And I think that's such a missing point in the wellness industry. We talk so much about all these things that we could be doing, right? It's endless. Like the list of biohacking things is absolutely endless. But I love how you named that. Like that's such a key component of are your thoughts toxic? Let's start there. I love that you named that.
You know what? I'm so glad you shared that, Sam, because I can 100% resonate with that. And I know a lot of people listening can as well. And that's why I found my way to water, was because similar to you and a lot of the listeners, I wasn't well. I wasn't feeling well. I was doing a lot of the things, spending a lot of money on doctors and supplements and treatments just to feel better. And I was desperate. But what I didn't know was that I was dehydrated, because I was drinking a lot of water. I was drinking about 1 gallon of water a day. But the water that I was drinking wasn't mineralized. I had a reverse osmosis system at home. So I was drinking mostly water that was lacking minerals and wasn't coherent with my body's own structures. So I went on this path and this quest to really find the root of why I wasn't well. And that led me to water. And, it was just so much fun writing this book too, because it was like, I get to share with people details that they think they may already know, but simple tricks and tips to upgrade their health that are fun and simple, and things that I wish someone would have told me. And I wish I would have known, because it would have saved me a lot of money, a lot of time, and a lot of pain. And one of the things was exactly what you said. It was my thoughts. It wasn't until I took inventory of my thoughts and my emotions and responsibility for them, right? I'm responsible for how I see the world. I'm responsible for how things make me feel. And when I started to take responsibility for that, all of the beautiful things that I was doing in the name of health started to work. So your work that you're doing is so potent. It's essential. If we're not caring for our emotional body and our emotional health through our thoughts and choices that we make and our breath and all the things that we're doing to nourish the system spiritually, we're missing out on a huge part of it. And amount of perfect water or perfect food that you eat is going to heal you. So,
yeah, I had this breakthrough probably like 8 years ago or so when that study got really popular about the two plants. Plants are mostly water, right? And you talk with love to one plant. You're just showering that one plant with so much love, and it grows and it prospers. We've all seen this. And then you talk shit to the other one and it dies. And I thought to myself, wait a second, if plants are mostly water and we're mostly water, the same thing is happening to us.
yeah.
The same thing is happening to us. And so how do we thrive? What's the environment that the human being needs in order to thrive, not only from the outside in, but from the inside out? And that has everything to do with our self-talk, with how we're treating ourselves. And yeah, it's just wild how, the most basic things are so overlooked. It's fascinating, right? It's like my last company, Hungry for Happiness, teaching people how to eat properly. Your company teaching people how to drink properly, and then my current company teaching people how to breathe properly. It's so wild that we've come so far away from our true nature that these companies even need to exist,
Yeah. Well, I know it is. It's so interesting. I think because there's so much money in the supplement industry. There's so much money in the beauty industry. And there's a lot of backing, a lot of financial backing behind these ads and these campaigns and the marketing telling us that we need more and more and more and more and more. And I think people are exhausted with more information, more products, more this, more that. They're just dumping all this stuff in a desperation to feel good. And people are getting wise, though. They're realizing that that's the case, and they're like, okay, let me take a step back, and that's why breath work is getting more popular, and I think water is getting more popular. Water has its time right now. It's, when I talk to a lot of my mentors and friends, they're like, this is the time for water. People are starting to pay more attention to it.
Mm-hmm.
It's cool. It's really exciting, and it gives me hope, and it makes me excited to know that people feel more empowered, and we feel empowered, and we take ownership of our lives and the things that we can do for our health. That alone, we feel better, right? Because I know when I didn't know what was the problem and I was trying to figure it out, that caused more stress. Because
absolutely,
okay, what's the answer? I've got to I have to find it, because I can't live like this forever. And that was like in its own thing, a full-time job.
Absolutely.
And once I started to research water and learn about what this is doing for my life, I changed from fear and lack to abundance and excitement. And now I wake up every day. I mean, I'm an imperfect person. I'm not going to say every day is perfect, but most days I wake up super excited about the day. I wake up ready for my mission. Wake up ready to learn, to explore, ready to understand hydration at another level, because it's become exciting. It's hope. It gave me hope. It changed my life. And I can't wait to remind people of that hope that's already within them. They may have forgotten about, or they may have not yet learned about. And to be able to have that opportunity is something to wake up for.
Oh my gosh, it's so amazing, and I love, you're like, I have more questions than answers, and I think that's the beautiful thing about picking one thing and just really researching it. Your thing's water, my thing's breath. And as I was, as I've been thinking, I know we booked your podcast, and since then I've just been, thinking about the correlations between your body of work with water and my body of work with breath. And I began thinking, okay, so if we change our water and how our body consumes it, we're going to ultimately change our overall well-being. And then it got me thinking, well, what would that look like with breath? Like what if we were to create an environment where we have the highest quality oxygen for our cells, and if we were to breathe that, I just geeked out on it. And it's like, there's so much to learn, and there's so much that we can do, and there's so much available for us to really live in optimal health, and the choice comes down to us. And I think the beautiful thing is especially with podcasts now, there's this information is everywhere. And all we have to do is like, just do one little thing. And sometimes it can feel overwhelming for people to be like, okay, where do I start? My thing based on this interview is getting rid of my plastic Culligan bottle and going to spring water, just like a little tiny shift, and then being, like monitoring that, like, how does that feel?
Yeah. And then you're going to get excited because you are going to feel a shift if you pay attention.
So Tracy, let us know, you have this brand new book coming out. It's already out. Let us know where we can get it and get amongst your work, get amongst everything Tracy Duhs.
Okay. So I would love to connect with anybody that has more questions. And the best way to do that is either go to my website at tracyduhs.com. I have a free hydration guide on the website. And so you can download it in a PDF and just learn the best steps to make the highest quality water from my research and what I perceive as the best water for now. And then also on Instagram at Tracy Duhs, TracyDuhs. You can send me a DM, and I really try my best to go through all of the DMs that I see and message you back in any way that I can be of support.
So good. It's been so amazing having you on here. And I know I learned a ton from you, and I just, like I said, I love people who pick one thing and just get so obsessed with it. And you with water, I'm like, yes, let's go. So thank you so much for all the work you put into this mission, all the love that you put into this mission, how you show up every day and just share this goodness with the world. It's just so amazing. You guys, go get the book. Go get Hydrate. All of the links to Tracy's work are going to be in the show notes. And if you love this episode, go ahead and leave us a review. And Tracy, I'm so excited to hang with you in person soon.
Oh, thanks, Sam, for having me on.
Absolutely. Okay, take care, guys.
Can't be contained.